Happy holidays from the green sheep of the family. Eco Daddy's here with the Big Agnes Fly Creek 3, an ultralight backpacker's tent that is our favorite after owning the Fly Creek 2. We just upgraded to this one so the kids could have the Fly Creek 2, and we can have a little more space to stretch out, if you know what I mean. So when I was looking at other tents online, we found some other ones that were labeled as dry pitch, and the DP tents can be pitched under the rainfly. And I thought about it and I was like, why can't the Big Agnes be dry pitched, and why don't they advertise it as such? So today I took our tent just after our holiday celebration last night and decided to try and dry pitch it. And I think I was successful in doing so. So we're going to go over the order of operations here today. One thing to speak of with the way we pack tents, some people just pack things directly into their pack to save the precious weight of a couple grams from this bag here, but we like to think that if something was in our bag and we were trying to pull something out and it ripped the mesh of our tent or destroyed it in some way, then we'd be pretty sad. So also keeping our clothes dry. If we have to pack our tent when it's wet, at least our clothes will be dry, like dry underwear and socks if we needed to change because we got soaked by the rain. So those are really good reasons to utilize your bags, carry those extra grams with you even though you're ultra light. You don't have to be the uber ultra light crazy person that doesn't carry their essential survival gear with them. So when we packed the packs, normally we had done the rain fly at the bottom, the tent in the middle, and then the footprint, which you can see here, worth every cent to get that in its own bag that it came with, and then packed into the top here. The reason we keep the footprint bag, again, just a couple grams, and the footprint gets dirty, it gets dust on it and little sandy stuff, especially in Colorado. You'll get a lot of debris from the mountains eroding, and in Arkansas you'll get a lot of sandstone that you're sleeping on, so that sandstone breaks down and you're essentially sleeping on a beach with some dirt on it and grass and stuff. So that sand gets in there and it can rub your precious rain fly and make it not waterproof anymore. So I always carry my footprint bag. So that'll go on the very top here, protected from everything else, and it'll be the first thing that comes out. So when we pull that, we also don't pack the poles in the long pull bag inside of here. We pack them into the pull bag, and then we just put that into our pack somewhere else, because when you add the rain fly it takes a little more space. It'll still fit it, but this can be compressed down like so, with all three things in there, but you can't do that if the pull bag is in there. So you can put this into your mix, smash it down, put other things on top of it, and it's just amazing how that works out. Then the poles can go somewhere like vertically right up the back side on our frameless packs, where there's that back area that's more solid. So some good strategy that's worked out for us, and then everything can be pulled out in the order that you want it. Like if you're trying to keep things dry in your pack, you can reach in, get the poles out, get those assembled in the rain with your rain gear on, and then reach into your pack, open this up, pull out your footprint, get that down on the ground quickly. Now the new order is going to be rain fly next. So the footprint, if it gets a little wet, it doesn't really matter because the bottom of your tent is also waterproof, but this is just a protective layer and more waterproofing. So once you get this down, you put the poles up and you set your poles into each of the four corners, and we'll take a peek at that here in just a second. So what we have here is the pole going into the rain fly, and so you'll just get the pole set up over the rain fly, start one corner at a time, and do the other. You don't go crosswise like you would tighten in a bolt pattern. You do your front first and then your back, or vice versa, and that gets your arch, and then you can go to the back side, get one of them, get your across the ridge arch, and then your last one over there. And at this point you can put the fly over the top, and just make sure you have done this at home so that you know which way is which. On this one it has a center that goes towards the front, so the place that hangs the center of the tent with the crosswise piece goes towards the front here. The wider part of the footprint is the front door, so therefore the zippered part is the front, and so when you're setting it up you don't have to fumble and redo things when you're in a situation that could be compromising. So then we'll get in here once the rain fly is set up, and this is kind of a redundant job, but this is what we're doing. to get a dry pitch, so we wouldn't normally do this in just good weather. I'd also like to state that if you're wearing pants that have grommets in them, you can tear the bottom. I actually put a small hole in the ground piece here, the footprint, with some jeans that I was wearing, so I switched to my favorite hemp pants. So we've got the 4 corners done, and you can see how this fits together. Uh-oh, I took one other. Now we've got all 4 corners done. Now we take this out of our bag, put it inside of our rain fly. Rain is coming down, but it doesn't matter. So you could just hop out of your boots as you do this, get in here with just your socks on while you're setting up, and be good. Monkey, what are you doing? All right, pound it. Boom, all right, out monkeys. Take choice to your room. So, when we unbag this here, we'll just get set. Front to the front, back to the back. And this is the key part. So when we're doing so, we just have to find the corner. It's really simple actually. And you will unbuckle one, slip this through after slipping this out. So you've got to keep hold of this pull. They're in, back to the footprint. Oh, so I got my tie line in there. There we go. Back to the footprint. Snapped. So that's one down. This is the part where you have to be precious with your tent, so you don't want to tear it or put pressure on it in any way. Go to the other side. Snap. Pull out. Pull in the actual tent. Pull through the rain fly, or the footprint. Snap the rain fly back down. Up to the front. So we have still pretty good time. This is like dry pitch and fast pitch. We got lots of practice setting up the tent in various camping situations. Rain fly out of the grommet, into the tent, into the footprint. Rain fly back in, 4 corners. Pardon the adjustment here. Tripod on the tent. Rain fly off, out of the grommet, through the tent, into the footprint, tent back on. The only parts that have gotten wet are my hands. So then, the next step will be to peg the tent up. So I'm going to open up the zipper just so I can stand here. Next we're going to take this top piece here and turn it out to where it fits into these corner pockets. And then we'll take this black piece in the center. Now notice on this pole set there are 2 poles here and 3 poles on the back. So that way you know when you're setting up your poles which one is which. So 2 poles in the front because you want the most area in the front, your feet are in the back. So you always think of it like that. We'll clip this in here, super simple. And then we would just have to set these 2 end pieces. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm sitting inside the tent with it unzipped. Now this one may be a little more difficult. The other time I did this from outside, so I unclipped each of the front corners one at a time. Oh, but it's easy! And the whole time I'm staying dry. Cool, make sure they're sitting in the proper position on your rain fly, that it's balanced. Now we're set. Cool. Now we'll take each of these little clips, clip them to the front. And we're done. So hopefully you made your wife stay outside in the rain in her rain suit, because there's 2 more clips to do in the back for the back area. You can see how it's kind of hanging down right there, but you can see the poles behind it. So that will just bring the back area up there. And then all you have to do from there is Where is that? Right here you can see a little loop. It's hard to see on that side. We'll do a 180. But right here at the halfway point on your sides, you'll see a loop that needs to be clipped to the rain fly so that when you pull your rain fly out and stake it, it pulls out the side of the tent a little bit. Super not necessary. We've gone without it before in situations where we were exhausted and it was raining, and we did just fine. So then just tie down your rain fly with your stakes and hop on in. Get your gear in your vestibule, and it's time to have a wonderful evening sheltered from the rain. This is Green Sheep of the Family. I hope you have excellent backpacking treks, and we'll come up with some other awesome videos in the future. One of the other things, sustainability-wise, I wanted to say about this tent, it's really well made with taped seams. You can see all that stuff in the reviews and such, and in the descriptions. But the poles, and they talk about this too, are done with a non-hazardous process to anodize the orange poles. So this tent, unlike a Walmart tent, will survive for years to come because you're not breaking those crappy fiberglass poles, and then Big Agnes has great support for their customers as well. So I hope you have a great time in the wilderness. It gives us a greater appreciation for the world that we're trying to save, and gets us away from the crazy city and back into our focused and balanced lives. So safe journeys, and we'll talk to you soon. While packing your tent, I think I had said this, but I can't remember, so we're going to go over it once again. You don't roll your tent up because that creates the same seam along the same line, which can break down your waterproofing. And this was like counterintuitive to me at first. I think it says it somewhere here in these instructions that you can tear off to save yourself that 1/2 of a millionth of a gram, and the annoyingness of this, but you stuff your tent so that you don't ruin the waterproofing. So just cram, and you want to end up with one of the mesh pieces towards the end so that you don't have a balloon. So that way it can let the air out as you go, and let the air out up towards the top as you pack other things in there. And that will save you space, which allows you to carry more food and more survival gear in your monstrous 70-liter pack. So we have mesh up top, and then this compacts down really quickly. At which point now we unclip the rain fly after we zip her up. Voila! We go from there. The other thing I wanted to say was that when pitching your tent, you want to think about, on the footprint, what goes where. And you want this loop to come out and this plug to stick up for clipping everything into. Because if it's like this, then it's pulling like that, and that's just really funky. It kind of gets in the way of the pole, and it just doesn't pull it right, not in the way it's supposed to. So pull this out, let the plug stick up, and that always determines the upside from the downside. And that way you're not getting dirt in here and then getting that onto your tent body, which can then rub and ruin the waterproofing on both at the same time. So as we package this up, we will kind of try to keep the outside packaged so that the rough is on the rough and everything else stays clean as possible. So picking up from the center of it, containing everything, and then if you have your four corners, once again with the balloon theory, you would stuff from the center of the tent. That's a pole bag. Footprint bag. Stuff from the center of your tent down, and end up with the four corners as the last thing that goes in, and you don't have any big air balloons. And then when you pull this out, same thing, you'll notice that you have the four corners, and you can start with one of them, and understand that as this comes out, this part goes down, this part stays up, and you're almost ready to set the poles at that point.